What's going on, team? Are you guys ready to get back into the hot seat? It's time for another trading week. Let's get into the action. You guys know where you're at. Live trading with Benzinga. Let's see. We're getting that chicken dinner today.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Morning to you guys out there. It's definitely good to have you guys into the show. Of course, like always, say hello. It's good to see some new members in the chat. Kevin talking about Forex and should I stay away from it? New trader. Well, I'll tell you right now, Kevin, it's not my forte, and I'm not going to probably talk about it too much on this stream, but Forex can be done. I'm not saying that it can't be worked, right? I know a lot of Forex traders. I actually know a couple of them that are trade across the pond in England, of course, and talk to us often on stock market movers. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, what I would say is start following some of the bigger Forex traders, right? Understanding more and more about currency. Currency is going to have a lot to do with macroeconomic outlook. Just wanted to give you that outlook there. But it's good to see you guys in the chat. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on my guy today, Ryan Faloona, in the house. And of course, the alarm's ringing out there somewhere. I'm sure Zunaid's waking up, but he'll be back with us in just a few minutes. Ryan's here to get us started. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much. I spent the long weekend being sick. I'm still recovering from that, so sorry if I sound a little odd today. Also not in the don't have the greatest energy levels right now, so maybe a little bit slow, maybe just calling plays today as opposed to actually executing. However, the good news is that we have an amazing weekend of playoff football where I was correct on all but two of my picks with the spread. So that was real fun. And this morning, it looks like we have Bitcoin popping again. So we've got a bunch of Bitcoin plays on watch here today. How are you doing?
Not bad in the football action. I think I got them all right. I just didn't do like spreads or anything. I didn't really put the bet in. I was talking with Joel about it. My big one was the Jaguars. I was like, Joel's gonna kill me, man.
Me too.
and then I started watching and I was like, nah, they don't look that bad. I know that I missed the first 4 interceptions, but then I jumped into the game and I was like, ooh, let's go. Let's bring it back. Let's get it back. We just need to get 10 points before the half, get a little closer, just keep within reach, just like a trader, right? You don't want to get too much in the red so much early in the day that you can't come back. I think they left themselves enough room there for them to come back. And I think that's an important thing as a trader. You have to stay within the fight at first. Then you can worry about it, especially when we're first starting in our experience as a trader. A lot of the times we're going to be losing money. So at that point, I think you talk about this all the time, Ryan, that the first job as a trader is not necessarily to make a bunch of money. It's just not lose money.
Protect your capital. Sure.
Yeah. And after that point, then we can worry about making a little bit. Then we can worry about thriving. That's similar what happened there with the Jaguars. They first got some points on the board. Got themselves back a little bit on some of those losses, right? Then they were able to tie things up. Then it's all about getting the win, right? Well, today we're going to go after the win. Let's get into the action. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my charts here. Let's take a look at the SPY. Right now, we are trading up on the day. We'll just see what happens towards the open. Seems like we've been strong, right? Bulls have full control, trying to get it back towards 400 right now. We'll look to see if we get towards that 400. Big level for me today is if we close above 396.90. That's going to give us the sign that the 200-day is below us, which could give some more drive to the upside. We'll see what happens on names like Tesla, on names like Amazon that had been strong as the last couple of days. Apple, what will happen there? Will we get back towards the 140 area, or will we get right back down there towards 132 today? Keep these on watch. Of course, Tesla is going to be big. We'll also be watching Google. We'll be watching Microsoft. Microsoft did get a downgrade this morning. That's why it was coming down a little bit in the pre-market. That's this hit here that you guys see at 740. We'll look to see if this climbs the wall of worry today through the 237. It seems like we are getting some lift today. Also, Roblox coming in with some news, right? They came out with their active users up, that giving a nice little lift. This could help other names get some push, maybe Unity. You see how Unity is already popping. We'll look to see if this can keep making moves. ARKK definitely going to be in play today. A lot of these growth names getting some lift. We'll look to see if it can continue. That's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and get into a little bit of what Ryan sees, and I'll be right back with you guys.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to actually pick it up right where you left off there on SPY. Well, before I change, let's cover this Riot chart. A couple of things here. So as I mentioned, Bitcoin popping, we're actually above 21,000 now. So we took that key level of 20,000, traded above it. Now we're trading above 21,000 at just about 21,500. So nice little move in Bitcoin, and that's causing some of the stocks that are tied to Bitcoin to move as well. And we actually saw some of this last week. I anticipate seeing more of that this week. The one thing that I want to draw your attention to, and this is a 1-hour chart from Riot, just to kind of give you an idea of the recent move, we're actually up nearly 100% from the move that started on December. What day is this? Looks like January 4th, right? So from the beginning of this year, we're actually up 100%. A couple of things here. Number one, I think that a lot of the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin names were tax loss sold near the end of the year. It just wasn't really a great year. They sold a lot of those, and I think you're starting to see some more buying here early in the year. This chart certainly shows that, right? January 4th, first day of the year here for trading. And or second, and really has just been up, like I said, up 100%. So the key takeaway here is that the actual stocks that follow the Bitcoin price, they're up more than the coins themselves, meaning that there might be a retracement in there. So just factor that into your plan if you're either A, day trading, or B, swing trading some of these names. If you have been swing trading some of these names, you're probably up pretty good right now, and I would at least book some of your gains. This is Riot. Mara looks the same. If I go ahead and click on that, you'll see it's a very, very similar chart. Let me go ahead and actually click on it. Very, very similar chart, very, very similar type move. Let's go ahead and measure it just to be safe. So we'll use that same January 4th date. Mara here up 152%, whereas Riot up just about 100%. So keep that in mind when trading some of these names. However, Bitcoin strong again here this morning. I would expect more action in these names when the market opens. Now, I did really quickly want to talk about SPY. We are down here a little bit. We were actually weaker in this morning, though. If I actually go to let's go to a 5-minute chart. There we go. So we were actually weaker this morning. We got some of these bank earnings, and that caused us to trade back up. Now, interestingly, Morgan Stanley had a mixed report, missed on EPS and then beat on revenue. Goldman Sachs missed on both. So Goldman Sachs is actually dragging us down, it looks like here today. Goldman Sachs lower here in the pre-market. Morgan Stanley was lower in the pre-market and then turned higher, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Morgan Stanley. So yeah, Morgan Stanley was a little bit lower after the initial print, but now we've actually taken the next leg higher here. Conference call ongoing here for Morgan Stanley. So what it looks like to me is that the market was lower earlier, and it looks like it's trying to go green. It looks like it's trying to have a nice strong day. The interesting thing here is that some of these tech names are actually setting up for us today. So I know Mitch mentioned Tesla. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so Tesla here above the highs from Friday, and they actually right up to the highs. I believe this was Wednesday, right? So we actually took that out. Be interesting to see a move above 126 today. Totally bullish for Tesla, and I wouldn't be shocked if we were able to trade back up. The other thing here about Tesla is that there was some pretty heavy selling in here, but it's kind of gappy all the way up to about 150. Maybe a little bit of resistance here. or maybe a little bit of resistance in here, but this channel here seems like we've kind of cleared that out. I wouldn't be shocked if this really got a nice push on some good buying momentum. So we'll keep Tesla on our radar here. It's up nicely in the pre-market today. So again, first spot to take out here is going to be 126. On one of these other stocks here, Apple also looking nice here this morning in the pre-market. We're definitely strong. You can see here Apple above where it was last week. And again, strong here in the pre-market. So what I'd be looking at for Apple here, next spot, maybe 136.5. See if we can trade back up towards that 140 handle on Apple. And then the other one that we should mention real quickly here is Amazon. Amazon starting to curl up here in the pre-market. Looks like this wants higher. So maybe Amazon going to be on deck here today. A move through 100 would be great for Amazon if we're able to get that. Netflix, rather flat. Let's take a look at NVIDIA real quick, see where we're at with NVIDIA. This looks like it's rather flat too. So we'll keep an eye on some of these other names that seem to have more action here in the pre-market. Now, it's not just some of the big names in the SPY that have some action in the pre-market. We also have some smaller cap names off of the movers tool. First one here is going to be CYAD. Now, CYAD here, we really should be careful with this one. We went all the way as high as 387, and we've retraced almost all of that move. This is Colvad Oncology. I don't really see any news here. I'll look out on Twitter and see if I can dig something up, but this might have just been a pop. Be very careful with this one. A move back towards VWAP and maybe a build above VWAP perhaps gives us a long side trade here. But again, whenever you see a huge move like this with this much of a retracement, generally a bad sign, and we'll put this on the back burner. There should be some better opportunities for us to trade here. Next one here on the list is going to be DCFC. All right. So DCFC, this is Tritium DCFC. Tritium DCFC shares are trading higher if the company reported FY22 preliminary sales of 95 million to 102 million. Company issued forward year or fiscal year sales guidance in excess of 200 million. Now, if you take a look at this, this is actually a company that does DC fast chargers for electric vehicles. So really good theme for this to be in as well. Nice little newsprint here today. Win is high on the first move here. Win as high as 217, retraced all the way back down to about 185, only to take the next leg higher. And now we're kind of holding this level. So I want to see this actually settle, and then I'd like to see the expanding volume. Expanding volume through this 215 probably takes us to 230, and a pop above. Tradable event there. So DCFC, better catalyst here and better opportunity, at least so far. Now, next, excuse me, it's going to be BTBT. Again, this is one of those Bitcoin plays. So this popped as high as 170, really retraced that move, but it looks like it's curling back up. I'd be interested to see what happens if we go ahead and test that 150 area. TCBC, this is TC Biopharm Holdings. Looks like we just had a pop here. I actually, this wasn't on when I had checked earlier. We do have a catalyst here. TC Biopharm shares are trading higher after the company announced a strategic collaboration to advance gamma delta T cells in oncology. Okay, so we're getting oncology headlines here. Again, remember with these stocks, they often like to move back and forth. We went as high as 650, retraced about half of that move back down here to 528. I think as long as we really hold 5 here, probably pretty good. Currently have the VWAP at about 560. That might come in if we come down to that, testing that 5 level. And then if we can reclaim that, maybe we'll have a possible move here to the upside. Mitch already talked a little bit about Roblox, so I'm going to skip over that. That's one of those tech names that could also be in play here today. So we'll be watching Roblox. Next one here is going to be MGO Global, and I believe that this is a fairly new issue, right? Looks like we only have data going back for Friday. This might have been an IPO that just got ran and then retraced. I'd be very, very careful with this one. Let's see if we even have a description. MGO Global Inc. provides branding and marketing services to help clients build positive perceptions about their businesses. Okay, kind of vague. I'm not too sure about this one. I'm not familiar with this name. I'd actually like to see this trade, but we are getting some movement here. And obviously, we had a huge retracement from the previous session. So be interesting to see if we can pop above 710, which was our pre-market high here. That would put this thing back into the wild territory. So we'll go ahead and watch that. Blue Apron, boy, this stock's really, really struggling. I know this has given us some opportunity to trade before. I would say keep this on the back burner. I added some key levels here, but this stock really likes to pop and then drop. And again, I think we probably have some better opportunities here on our list. The other thing to mention here from the list is that we do have nat gas moving here today, right? So UNG is up, which means that the levered ETF Boyle is also up. Be careful with natty gas. We've talked about this a number of times as being the widowmaker. Very, very difficult to predict. Remember, going into the winter here in the fall and even in the late summer, we're talking about the winter being really, really bad for Europe. Now they got a glut of natural gas. It just has not been nearly as bad. We actually just had one of the CEOs, one of the energy CEOs, I think it was Chevron, on this morning on CNBC. They're in Davos, and he said that because of the light winter so far, they're actually looking pretty good going forward. Of course, everything can change, but just keep that in mind. We all kind of thought it was going to be a cold, really rough winter for Europe. That ended up not being the case. So if you're going to play natural gas, just be aware of some of the pitfalls there. Mitch, that pretty much concludes it for me, at least for the stuff that I'm watching. I'm going to go get some orange juice too, and hopefully help have that vitamin C fight off the rest of this cold. What do you say?
Right, my friend, go ahead and take a little break. I'll be right back.
BRB before the open.
No worries. Take your time, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my charts. And talking about in the chat there, we're talking a little bit more on long-term investments and how hard it is to hold, right? I think a lot of traders go through this struggle where it's just difficult to actually hold for a long period of time, right? And I think as traders, we've battled this kind of mentality often. One thing that I would say, of course, is you guys make your own investment decisions, long-term, short-term, whatever that may be. The way that I approach it a lot of the times is I want to be asking myself, right, are these companies high-quality stocks on a cheap valuation? What do I mean by high-quality stocks? Well, you want to be looking into their actual financials. How does that look? What are their growth drivers in the future, right? If you can see growth drivers in the future, you can see good fundamentals right now, and it's just at a technical discount. Well, from that point, it's just going to really take the story to get hot again. So you can think about this in that perspective. Of course, also have a time frame that you're thinking about this. If you're thinking about this in 5 years, right, or maybe it's multiple years, then you have a lot longer of an outlook. So then maybe you should be using a little bit deeper time frame charting, right? If I had years of an outlook, I'll probably be using the monthly charts to try to get on a good monthly support to give myself the best risk to return kind of shot. Where I feel people do things wrong sometimes is they think a long-term investment and then they go into the trade based on, like, let's say a daily or even, God forbid, an hourly or a 15-minute chart in the intraday. And then they get caught on the daily, weekly, or monthly pullback. This is why you got to be looking at those deep time frame pullbacks, trying to give yourself the best probability to stay into the green. Big part of this is always asking yourself also, does the current environment support my long-term thesis? And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Like, let's say Disney. I know a lot of people have been thinking about investing in Disney, but does it support the long-term thesis, right? Well, right now it would be that Disney comes down right now with, of course, inflation concerns, recession concerns. But as the economy picks back up again, you'd be thinking that, yeah, we'll get another growth run. We'll get another run for Disney Plus. We'll get another Disney Parks run. Things like this can definitely help Disney get the step up. All these types of mentions, I think, what you need to be thinking about when you're thinking long-term. But let's get back towards the intraday action stuff. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Of course, one area that I will be looking for a continued up move is in oil. Oil now getting towards the 80. You guys know I've been talking about WTI consistently. And the big thing for me on WTI would be, what would happen to crude? Would we get back towards the 60s on the low end or the 80s on the high end? And there you see it. We're going through the 80s today. So we'll look to see if these oil stocks can continue making moves. They were the hot stocks last week, at least in my eyes. I know that some people were looking at the meme stocks, but I like to see continued strength. So I'm going to look for continued strength in a stock like Halliburton. Look how many days this has been going up. This was my kind of New Year stock to pick, right, was Halliburton. This has already made about a 10% move. we'll see what happens there in Halliburton if it can keep making a run up. SLB is another one that you guys can watch for that continued up action. VLO has been really hot as of late. This one could pull back eventually, but has been really hot. We'll see if it gets there towards the 140. And this is, of course, since the beginning of the year. We'll see what happens on some of these oil names if they want to continue pushing. Of course, the dashboard trash has been hot as of late. Look for those stocks to see if maybe they want to keep pushing. Maybe an AMC finally gets a nice little lift there towards 6 today. We'll see what happens. A lot of this is all going to depend on the market. What will we get here as we start pushing right towards the open already, 398.80s? You're going to start seeing if we're going to climb the wall of worry on the banks. I talked about 362.40 area, 362.30 area, and look how we went and bottomed already there in Goldman Sachs. Talked about these levels on pre-market prep. We went right to them, to the key almost. So I'm going to be looking for Goldman Sachs to kind of find the buy the dippers coming in, and you can see it already happened. Look at that. Boom, already. So I'm going to look for a pullback on these names. Morgan Stanley has to lead, though. This was positive in the pre-market, now has really taken off. This could do a little bit of a pullback and then another ramp. But right now, Morgan Stanley kind of leading these banks. And you can continue watching the strong one, look to see if it climbs the wall of worry. JPM had a really good day on Friday. Look for maybe a little pullback and then another ramp up. We'll see if the laggers can keep making push. Bank of America, 35.39 is definitely an important level to watch to. We'll see if we climb right back up there and start to push on some of these banks. All right, it's 9:29. Just a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds before we get towards the open. Want to go ahead and slow things down so that we're ready for the action. You guys have stocks, keep throwing them up in the chat. I'll try to do my best to catch everything that's going out there. Appreciated that narrative. Hey, always here for you, Sabrina.
Mitch, I'm going to join you. Fresh squeezed orange juice. So I saw Change Agent earlier saying don't drink orange juice because it's all sugar. Change, if you freshly squeeze it, you can avoid quite a bit of that. But I'm going to join you. Pinky on up.
Hey, sugars are not bad for you. Not always. I think that some people get twisted in sugar. They don't understand that there's some sugars that are actually good sugars. And what I mean by good sugars is these are sugars that you can burn off during the day versus fat sugars that turn into fat, right? So just putting that out there. I don't think it's bad to drink orange juice. Just go ahead and do a workout later in the day, and that'll burn it right back off. Let's get to the action. Let's go. Pinkies up. Always pinky up. The natural sugars. Sugar mamas are great too. Yeah, I mean, hey, where's my cheese, right? Give me my cheese. Voodoo saying gush. Ooh, the gushing. We're both wrong. What about sugar? And what about OJ? All right, Bank of America coming down here out the gate. SPY trying to push up a little bit here. Got to get up my Benzinga Pro here window also. Get that up in just a few seconds. Let's see what happens here out the gates. Nice little push there on the SPY. So seeing the SPY push there. Let's see what happens. Tesla trying to get through that level. Now starting to push there. Apple pulled back here.
Yeah, first move on Apple was down. Same with Bitcoin, right? So we were just talking about some of the Bitcoin plays. Bitcoin popped up to 21,725 and immediately reversed about 400 points. So you're seeing that actually in some of the other names here as well. SI here, this first move here is down after a nice little pre-market. Let's check in on Mara and Riot as well.
Goldman Sachs
here down.
They bought the dip there. I was thinking about 364s. The only thing with Goldman Sachs is the spread. The spread for me is like about a buck 10 there. So it was a little bit too wide there. Yeah, you see right there, it opens up like $1.50. That's a little bit too wide there for Goldman Sachs for me. I'll be looking for some pullbacks on the banks to start get going. Goldman Sachs will look to see if it holds 362.30 areas. Bank of America coming down out the gates there. Gonna look for Wells Fargo, see how that's doing. Also coming down here. So just be careful. Banks pulling back here out the gates.
Hut potential move above 190. By the way, BWEN from last week, this was a bit Hut pulling back here. We actually need that to break that 189 and start to build. BWEN, this is from last week. This gave us multiple days worth of trades yesterday. This is Broadwind. We're actually running up into the pre-market high. Pre-market high I have as 588, so we're about 3 cents beneath that. Really what I'd like to see here is the next leg up, if we can break out of that. If we take a look at the 15-minute chart, you can see kind of where we came from here. We're pretty extended, but I want to see if there's any additional momentum in here. You can see the volume is really kind of dried up, and that might make it difficult for our day trades here.
Looking around industrials, not seeing much there. Healthcare, let's go to Pfizer. I know they had a rating, a downgrading today. It is pulling back fast there to 45, 49. We'll look to see if they can continue down. Major drug manufacturers, wanted to take a look at some of those to see how Pfizer's was affecting it. Lilly with a big pullback. Merck pullback out the gates. We'll look to see if this gets by the dip or not. Johnson & Johnson actually looking strong on the day. We'll look to see if that can bounce back. Looking around, team, looking around. NVIDIA pushing, says that. NVIDIA, yeah, it is pushing up there, 172.20s. That's actually looking like a good little 5-minute candle there. Went up there towards a high of 172.45. We'll look for pullbacks now to the VWAP. Does this want to keep running? Doesn't look too bad right now. We'll look to see if it can keep moving up. SPY overall came back a little bit. Now trying to catch a dip around the 398.50 areas. We'll look to see if we get back through that 399 as it acted as resistance. GE trying to make another step up. Of course, I've been watching these stocks to see if they're going to continue strong. Honeywell is another one that you guys can watch in that area. We'll look to see if it keeps pushing or not. Healthcare overall not looking the best. Financial services in the red. Energy, the only thing in the green here. Oh, there's a couple of them. Then we got utilities, defensives. Not going to trade defensives too much today, but I am seeing some of those up. Maybe discount stores not looking too bad. Did go to Sam's. Spent a bunch of money. So maybe Costco get the lift.
Costco is higher out of the gate here today.
Yeah, I was taking a look at it. Real estate up also. Industrials in the red. DE coming down there. That's one that I'd keep an eye on. That one's been a hard trade, but it did make its move back up. We'll see what happens there. How the airlines here out the gates, let's say. American doing a little bit of a pullback. Not much of a pullback, if anything, but we'll see what happens here. Can it get back above the 17? 17 is going to be very important. Crush down through the 1680s. You could get a little bit more of a pullback today. How's that Roblox doing out the gate that they're rocketed? Pulling back there towards 3740s. Now finding at least some bottoming action around the 3708. Starting to make its way back up. Let's look at Unity. Unity pulled back fast out the gates there.
Tesla snapped that pre-market high that we talked about, took the next leg up, pulled back and kind of back tested that level, and now is going higher. I think Tesla higher today. I wouldn't be surprised if 130 prints are had today on Tesla.
Amazon red, just to kind of say that.
You were talking about, what did you say? I missed that.
Amazon going into the red here.
You were talking about Roblox, some pin action here. We're actually moving lower. Looks like they're trying to sell into this pop. Really, the question for me on Roblox is where does this hold on this pullback, right? A regression to the mean after this pop this morning wouldn't be horrible. Where does it hold? And does it show any type of buying strength to reverse?
GME, the stronger ones of that dash for trash trade, just made a little pop there towards 2110s. We'll look to see if it pulls back. Triple BY, not doing much, but still trying to hold the 350s on pullbacks right now. We'll look to see if it gets back above 358. AMC did a little bit of a pop, but not much there. We'll look to see if it can continue. Wayfair also on the radar today, but not doing much, also pulling back. Look to see what happens to these growth names.
Hut potential move here through 189 if we end up getting it, currently at 187. It's trying. Volume looking good here today on Hut as well. I got a little bit of a seller wall here at 188, so we'll see if we can take out 189. This might be a little bit more of a grinder.
Yeah, you can look always at Mara, right? If you want a little bit more move. ARKK coming down here. Yeah, right out the gate, they pulled back. We'll look to see if it catches the dip. City looking strong. Yeah, that's a nice one. That shows me a little bit that we could get more to buy the dip. We'll look what happens there. See if Bank of America can turn around on the day. Goldman Sachs bounced up, then pulled back a little bit. So it doesn't look too bad here on this pullback. Going to keep an eye on it here.
Yeah, Goldman Sachs might end up bouncing here. Netflix and Amazon really, really weak out of the gate here. Really, really weak. Both of them pounding the lows here. Bitcoin also moving to the lows as well. So
that Netflix crashing so fast, it looks like Disney's also coming down fast too. So that one looks like maybe 100 rejection here. Doesn't look too bad for an opportunity. We'll see what happens there in Disney.
And don't forget, Netflix has earnings on Thursday after the market.
Yes, yes. And we're actually going to be covering them here. I actually got Nick Brown that's going to be doing an interview with Michael Proctor. Yes, I said it. Michael Proctor will be talking about Netflix earnings on Thursday, so don't miss that, team. They'll be right here on Benzinga. I'm going to join as a co-host, but I'm letting Nick Brown lead. Like always, one of the things that we like to do here at Benzinga is give opportunity. So you guys out there, if you guys want an opportunity to run a stream, talk about stocks. Are you a market enthusiast? Reach out to us. That's what Nick did. You guys can do the same. Mitch at Benzinga.com, shows at Benzinga.com, whichever one you want to hit up. Let us know. Hey, I want to be a part of the action. I want to do this. I want to try this experiment. Well, guess what? That's what we're all about here at Benzinga. We can give you an opportunity.
CLXT getting mentioned by the chat here. This is one of those penny stocks. Maybe we are curling and bouncing off that 40 level, but just be careful with this one. Volume is contracting, and there's been a lot of sell volume here this morning.
Going to look for a pullback now in the SQQQs for potentially a day trade to the upside. Of course, I needed to pull back here. Going to look for a pullback to 46.05 here. Risk off 45.95s. Of course, we would need the Qs to come down fast and the market to come back fast. But I have no problem doing it as a day trade. We'll see what happens there. Just going to look for a pullback around the 46.05 area. We'll look to see if we get that area. Setting up.
So this MGOL that we talked about, this is popping here off this 550 level. I was just reading some of the description here because I'm not familiar with this company. The company has one reportable segment which sells a range of products under their soccer legend Leo Messi brand. So it looks like they got a connection there to Messi brand, but again, This one seems a little dangerous. So just be careful. Just be careful if you're trading this one.
No pullback in the SQQQs. They're already taking off there to the next level of 46.45. We'll look for some pullbacks eventually. Might have already missed that one. I'll look to see if maybe SOXAS can change tunes, but we're starting to come down a little bit. The only question is, are we going to start breaking down, or is this just a pullback? We have pulled back a significant amount. We're going to keep an eye on it.
Yep. Looks like a lot of the ETFs are appearing on the scanner list here. Morgan Stanley is still holding its gains as it is higher.
One of the things that I've been trying to do, and I think you've seen it from Ryan and I, is just being patient. We're just looking at the action right now, trying to determine what's really going on versus trying to trade a whole bunch into the open, not know what's going on, and then just give up a bunch of money. I think this is always important. You guys determine what you guys want to be. If you guys want to trade 60 times a day, by all means, go ahead and do it. That just determines if you think 60 tickets are the best thing for you, hey, power to you.
I know, at least I know enough of myself already to know that I don't want to do that. I don't want to write 60 tickets a day, Mitch. I'd like to do one, if that, and be done, right? I'd like to keep it as few as possible and the quality as high as possible, as opposed to the other direction. I know that that's tough because we do some scalping, but remember, scalping is not, or day trading just in general, not the primary thing that we'd like to do. I'd like to be able to just take one better trade. In absence of that, though, I'm trying to find as many potential opportunities as possible. It's good stuff, though.
All right, looking around out there, let's go to the IBB, see how that's doing right now. I wanted to see how some of these biotechs were doing today. Some of the smaller ones, CNTA, CBay. That one doesn't look too bad, at least. That one's pushing. Went to go. Oh, not a bad looking stock at least. Nice little consolidation. Now starting to make another step. Looks like it's trying to get through 7 today.
Love that chart formation that you just had there on CB.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all.
Not at all.
Not a bad stock there.
And that is also that. So remember, select biotechs. Those have been the stocks that have really given us opportunity recently. That fits the bill.
Just looking around through some of these biotechs, seeing what shows up to me and what seems like a really strong one. This ALNY, don't know why it's so strong. I don't know too many of these biotech plays, but definitely it's a more expensive name, but really strong. Moderna out the gates today, getting a nice little push. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad there. Nice little VWAP bounce. BNTX, I'd like to see it in the green too. Not in the green there. SQQQs came back to that level here. Might take my shot here. All right, just grabbed a little bit there at 46.10. So wanted 46.05. Wasn't going to get too picky about 5 cents there. So took the 46.10 here. The risk is going to be 45.95s. So you got to keep it kind of tight here. Looking for the nice little push through the 46.50. We'll look to see if we get that lift here. Can add on this position, of course. Been trying to do positions at least for day trades in more of fifths. So we'll see what happens here if we get that next step up there. SQQQ. Big thing for me would be the SPY to break down here, or the Qs to break down. Give us a sign that we want to continue back down, not just rip back up there. Got to be careful on that type of trade. Tesla on the left-hand side here for you guys to kind of keep watch on a name that's been a little bit strong out the gates. We'll look to see if it can continue, hold VWAP.
I gotta say on this bounce here, my overall feeling on the market is probably to the downside here. So I think on this next bounce, we might be able to grab an SOXS position, depending on how high it bounces. Would really watch the market here. SOXL trading up nicely here this morning. I would expect a reversal, maybe not this early in though.
Wanted to add there, just didn't get the ad there in SQQQ.
Morgan Stanley doing a good job, still staying above its VWAP right now.
The Goldman Sachs break through the lows. Yeah, that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yes,
I wanted to see if it was going to climb the wall of worry. It's if anything, it's breaking down there. So look for JPM to be weak, Bank of America to be weak. Citi that was strong, look for that to crack back down, right? You see it cracking there. MS, let's see what happens on that one. Can it stay strong, Morgan Stanley, or will it start to cut? SPY overall trying to get a little bit of a bounce.
BTCM maybe through 4 here. Bitmining shares are trading higher if the company announced the launch of a new energy efficient Litecoin Dogecoin miner. Interesting. At 4 here on BTCM.
In that big pullback right now, and the SQQQ is going to look to hold right now. It just needs to kind of hold the wick action here. We'll look to see if it closes below this or not. One that did make up that little wall of worry on a downgrade was Microsoft. Talked about that before the bell. It already started climbing before the bell, so that was a little bit harder. Climbed to 238s, but it already climbed that wall of worry right back to 239.
A little bit of refresh selling there on BTCM at 4. They cleared it, put some more in there. Now they're pulling it off that 4 mark. So, actually just reclaimed 4. It looks like maybe we'll see if we'll go higher here. 4 clearly the spot on BTCM so far. Big volume here above 4 now. 10,000 share print at 402. Let's see if we go higher here. Looks like BTCM going higher here.
All right.
Here we go. A little bit of a pop here. Here we go. BTCM.
Ooh,
nice 15 cent move right through 4 there. It was back and forth. It was a little shaky, but here we go. Let's see if we can actually push this higher here. Buying volume looking pretty good. Here goes 415, 417. Here comes 420. Nice. 420 is down. Nice move here on BTCM through 4. 30-cent move almost on this trade.
All right, going to look to see if the Qs are going to come right back down through the 2080 80s, or are we going to go breaking through the 281s on the upside? We'll see what happens here. Microsoft staying strong.
Big pullback here on BTCM. This is on some of these. When you get the gains, don't be afraid to take them. Right, even on this name, if you're selling up in the 420s here, this thing pulls all the way back down to 409 or 4. It gives you an opportunity to reload if you wanted to trade it for more. So don't be afraid to take gains, especially if you're day trading. Better walking away from a trade with gains than hitting the top. You can't effectively hit the tops or bottoms for that matter.
All right, Becca talking about BBIG making a little move. Definitely keep that on your radar. Success looking good for retest of low 2680, says Voodoo. Soxel doing decent today. And some other ones being mentioned in the chat, like always. VRTX, a good one. Keep your eyes on that. See what happens. Right now, I'm still battling with this SQQQ. The big thing is the Q's just kind of chopping right here around the 280.80s. Microsoft, we'll see if it kind of comes back down. What's up with the Tesla Dragon? Trying to make the step up, right? Apple now starting to hold VWAP. So if you guys are bullish traders, that doesn't look too bad. We'll look to see if it keeps going. Candle's going to close in about 1:30 here. It's probably going to have to cut this SQQQ. It just cut down there. So really needed to come back here immediately, back towards 45.90s. If not, 45.80s is my ultimate risk. A lot of the times I have an ultimate risk on the wick side, and I need to see the candle close below a level for me to close it also. The ultimate risk there for me is if just in case I get a wipeout, I'm also not going to stay in the trade.
Tesla looking like it wants to take out 128 here. So on this bounce with the market, looks like Tesla is bouncing as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we take out 128 here on Tesla. Looking pretty good here.
All right, climbing back at about 50 seconds on the candle. SQQQ climbed right back up there. So that looks good there for me. Actually might add to this position here. There you go. I've gotten my ads for the kind of the position average 46.03. Let's look to see if it can get back up there. Really don't want to see it cut 45.90s now. Just want to see it break out through that 46, get back up there. Q's coming back to VWAP. Want to see that breakdown, not get back above the 28.80s. That's going to be an important level. Apple will look to see if it retrace there. Amazon's going to be the one that I want to see drive down, right? It was really strong as the last couple of days. It's actually weak today. We'll look to see if we get that drive down right now. And the Qs, don't want to see it really 5-minute close up here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I think the Qs, I like that SQQQ trade, Mitch. It looks like the Qs were kind of wicking there. I think a move above 281 probably invalidates that trade until we get to the next spot here. I don't know what your plan or stops are, but I think if the Qs trade above 281 here, it looks like they're pulling back in. Anyway, what is your plan on for exit on that?
You see that line I have right here, and I'll make it even a little thicker so we can really see it, right? That's the line, right? Don't want to see closing above that to the upside. Closing above that to the upside shows me upside continuation. Anything closing below that is just kind of fighting the pattern.
Nice pullback here too.
Breakdown is the low of the day, 279.58. Amazon coming towards the lows. That's a good sign there. We'll see if the Qs actually break, though. It's still battling. I would say the bulls still have a little bit of control. I'm just a little bit early on this trade right now, so we'll see what happens here.
I like that. I want to see. I like that, Mitch. I think you could see a breakdown here.
Yeah, I mean, at least it gives me, I got my levels. That's what it's always all about, right? Having your process, having your levels. You never know if you're going to be into the green. You truly never know. The only thing you can do is take trades, try to figure out what's your probability, what's your risk spots, and then just hold to your execution. From that point on, it's more about execution than it is about the right or wrong. You can review that later. We can analyze our wins and losses later. What we want to do once we're in trading mode is worry all about execution. All right, what I'm sorry, Adam. I caught your comment. I laughed too. What happened to Netflix? Ryan, what happened to Netflix? Anything we have in the news, maybe? Did we get a downgrade on Netflix, maybe?
Let me go ahead and pull Netflix up here today. Let's Take a look at the chart. Oh my goodness. What the happened to Netflix? Holy smokes, guys. What the is going on? All right, so it looks like we traded down to 324 here. I didn't see anything this morning. Yeah, UBS maintained a neutral and raised the price target. Wedbush maintains outperform, raises price target, and Truist maintains hold and raises price target. Yeah, down we go. So the thing that's looking at Netflix here, we really just traded down to 324. We've bounced about 2 points here so far. So we'll see if we can retrace a bunch of this move. We did. This is pretty much in line with the lows that we had on Thursday. Really kind of held the lows from Thursday.
Watch
Those
out,
are
team.
slightly bigger than the lows on Wednesday.
I'm out of my SQQQs. Qs pushed up there. Not going to battle with it. It did get to a level where I'm not going to stay into that level. I talked about how I wanted to cut through 45.90s. Was able to cut there at 45.79s, but not going to break through that 80 and just keep battling it. Could still reverse. Could still come back around. Small loss on the day. Let's keep battling. Let's keep battling.
Pinduoduo coming in from its massive run last week, down about 4% here today. And it looks like it tried to bounce initially, and looks like we want to take the next leg lower here on Pinduoduo. So I would say we probably want lower, or this stock probably wants lower if we can break this 92.75. This lines up pretty good with where we were at pre-market on Friday, and then also where we were in the Thursday session. We'll see if Pinduoduo, if it does break, I think 88 probably your next stop on Pinduoduo to the downside.
Apple pushing, Tesla pushing, I pushing. Look to see if we get through that 399. We're right back up there. There's a little bit of a push there. We got a 945 turnaround. It seems like to the upside. Didn't continue to continuation there. Out of the SQQQs, same thing about 20, 30 cents there. We'll see what happens on that trade, but definitely a nice little pop back up there. So you could start seeing some reversal actions coming back towards the upside. We'll look to see what happens there in like a stock like Goldman Sachs, maybe Morgan Stanley continuing on the day shows us something, right? It didn't really break down there, Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley been one of the bright spots here this morning, has maintained its strength both in the pre-market and in the regular session here today. Same cannot be said for Goldman Sachs. And in fact, how are some of the other banks that didn't report today? JP Morgan, of course, reported on Friday. We actually traded lower, went higher, only to come back in again here today. Sorry, let me pull it up on the chart that you guys can see. Was looking at CleanSpark off of the relative volume scanner. CleanSpark does look like it's curling, by the way.
Microsoft back into the green there. 399 showing up.
JPM looks like it's trying to come back in here. 139, yeah, we're pretty much right where we were at prior to the earnings print. So all that back and forth, we're pretty much right back where we started. Bitcoin trying to curl and move back up as well. Check in on Roblox. Roblox trying to bounce here. Qs are trying to go higher here, Mitch.
Yeah, I'm at least out of that trade. I'm just looking around now. See what else is moving. Energy still in the green. Defensive still in the green. Utility is still in the green. So those have stayed strong. Real estate bouncing back today, staying strong there. Technology, some of that. Solar names getting a little bit of a lift today. First solar back to 185. Wow. What a move there. EMPH probably playing catch up right now.
Jay, nice shout here. Microsoft, nice red-green move there.
Yeah, I talked about that in the open, before the open, where we climbed through that ratings downgrade. And yeah, we climbed right through it. That's that down hit that you see.
Chat, what are you all trading out there? What are you guys looking at? The scanner here not as fruitful as I had hoped when I first looked at movers this morning.
Nah, I've seen Solar get that nice little uplift. That's continuing today. Let's take a look at maybe some of the meme stocks. Let's see how those are doing. Triple BY back up towards 360s. That doesn't look too bad. It's trying to make the next step up. I like maybe AMC today or GME. Those look stronger. Those look like they just got that bounce there. Lucid's another one you guys can be watching, right? We're getting a little bit of a squeeze back there. Tesla, right? Getting a nice little push back. We'll look to see how these can keep moving. Party. What's up with the party? It's getting a little bit of a push. Yeah, it's trying to get a little bit of a lift. We'll see what happens. NEGG is one that I saw. That one's already back down. What about the Wish? Still wishing upon a dream there. We'll see what happens in some of these names. Will they get the lift? Will GME get the little push? Ape. What's up with the Ape? Ooh, Ape getting a little bit of a lift today. Doesn't look too bad there. We'll see what happens on AMC if it can get moving here. I think it could drive through 540, maybe make a move to 6. I wouldn't see too much past 6, but if I wanted to play it today, that's probably where I'd be watching it.
Market looking like it's pulling back here a little bit. It'd be interesting to see if we can actually bust through this and take the next leg up, or do we actually come in off this level? Ask the chat what they're trading whole, but you guys are all over the place here. This is absolutely awesome. Looks like a lot of you are actually trading some of the ETFs, whether it's the SPY itself, TQQQ, SQQQ. We got Voodoo Vibes trading Gush and Tallow out there. A lot of tech names being traded as well.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I like this, you guys. I like this. We're kind of all over. We're hitting it from all sides, as Hot Rod likes to say.
We'll look to see what happens in the SPY. Definitely see some topping action, but it's just kind of slow up here. And that's how it happened when you're on these kind of new moves to the upside. DE tried to catch a little bit of a rip on that last move. Coming back now. We'll look to see if it catches the kind of the buy the dippers here. Cat also pulling back below the VWAP. We'll see what happens on those names. Looking at like a stock like GE pulling back. Honeywell having a weak day today.
BZB saying, Ryan, you should try onion water. It's not as bad as it sounds. Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to sell me on this. Why should I try it? I'll be honest, I like onions. I don't know if I like onion water though. For my nose to clear it up. Man, it doesn't even feel plugged. It's just like my head just feels congested from being sick this weekend. Onion water. That's the first time I've heard that.
That sounds like torture.
It doesn't sound great. I'm not going to lie. I mean, DCB's been around for a while, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I've heard better suggestions than that. Yeah, Urban Farms, I do have this really nice winter mint tea that let me go start steeping a cup of that. By the way, before I go do that here real quick, I thought this was interesting. Syed, this is that one we were at what? 8. This was a penny stock yesterday, right? About 80 cents. We popped as high as almost $4. Retraced almost the entirety of that move. We went from $4 all the way down to 118. We've actually bounced over an entire dollar now, and the volume looking good here on Syed. So I have no position in this. I'm not going to trade this. This one seems a little sus, as the kids like to say, but a huge move here. So anyone that did trade this, first of all, definitely book some of those gains. Good stuff here, but this is definitely one to watch.
NVIDIA with a nice VWAP bounce for those that went after that one. That was a nice one there. MOS strong right now. So
Jay,
take a look.
Suggesting that I try onion water before a blind date. So Jay Rice, excellent trader, full of great information, but clearly trying to get me to remain single for the rest of my life. Thanks, Jay. Quantum says I'll go with onion rings. Thanks. That's the comment of the day so far. It's early, but that's the comment of the day. You folks are awesome. You folks are absolutely awesome. You know, anytime I wake up and I don't feel great, as long as I can make it to my computer, I'm going to try to make it here, because even if I'm not at full strength, I can rely on our community to bring laughs, which is, of course, the best medicine, as well as awesome home remedy suggestions. We got Change Agent out here giving us a good snack tip, and now I'm learning the miracles of onion water.
All right, SPY picking another leg. Another leg team is trying to push here. SPY up there towards 399.45s. Could we get to 400 today? Looks like it. Tesla getting a nice little lift there towards 129.50. Looks like people bought that dip on Tesla. Getting a nice little lift here. We'll look to see if it can continue making moves. Triple BY. Just talked about it. 358s. It went right through that 350. Now they're towards 385. We'll look to see if AMC can get the motor going here. DME can get the motor going. We'll see what happens on these names. Can they get the lift? We'll see. They're pushing. Now let's just keep an eye on it. BBIG getting some lift there. Will this one get to the dollar? We talked about this one a little earlier. No, I think it was Carmen that mentioned it. I'm not sure exactly. I kind of forgot. I got to roll back up. We'll see. But I know someone, it was Becca that mentioned it. There you go. BBIG, 80 cents. We'll see if it gets towards $1. But the Q's taking another leg to the upside. So those tech stocks probably looking good here. Even Pan W on the day. Can CrowdStrike keep working its way back now? As Pan W starts making its way back, I would look for that to catch a little bit of a dip. Maybe Sentinel-1 gets a little bit of a push here. Of course, kind of cybersecurity stock. Maybe Snow. What about the Snow Dragon here? Nice little lift there for Snow. Doesn't look too bad there. Let's see how Unity caught the dip there. It did catch the dip. Roblox. How was that bounce there? Kind of pulled back there, starting to hold the 37. We'll look to see if it comes back up through 38s. Doesn't look too bad to risk off here off the 37, but we'll see what happens here. We'll look to see if we can kind of make kind of that triple bottom look and then come back for these levels. That's something that I'll keep in mind.
Looks like SPY really just executing a bear trap here. It certainly looked like we were wicking, maybe topping there at 399, only to roll over. SPY says, no, I don't think so. Blowing through that 399, now actually through 400 here on the SPYs. Take a look here at SPY. Nice little power move. Glenn, you're out here trading SPY calls. Ka-ching, baby. Ring that register. Ring that register. SPY, the interesting thing for me, if we take a look at it on a daily chart here, this is actually the trend line that we've really been obeying so far. So notice that we're actually breaking above this trend line here today. A close above this trend line, a close above this trend line would be pretty bullish here for invalidating this trend. Note that the last time that we went through this, we actually did not close. We punched through it only to come back in and then close beneath it. That resumed the sell-off. So it'll be interesting to see if we can close above this trend line. I have the mark of this trend line here at like 398 today. So we'll just use that as the level itself.
Well, I talked about it this morning on pre-market prep. The headline was, will we get to 400? We got there, team. 410, the high there on that push. Now it's all about, will we claim 400? What do we mean by claiming? Actually getting bars that close above there, not wicking there, right? Well, 5-minute or 15-minute, you guys can maybe use that to see if we can close up there to the 400 and start showing some strength up here. It's going to be a good outlook here as stocks get a nice little push.
Carvana with some decent volume sticks here on the 1-minute chart. Carvana looked like it's trying to actually take out the 7. I know, Mitch. Look, I'm not happy about it either. I don't like the company. I think car vending machines were a gimmick. I'm on the same side, but we've got to call out the price action when it happens.
That's true.
Definitely some increase in volume here. One of the things we talked about with Carvana before was the short interest, right? As of January 12th, which was only 5 days ago, 86% of the float shorted here with 2.7 days to cover. So when you see some of these pops, sometimes those pops can be a little bit extended. We actually are seeing some of this volume increase. Will be interesting to see if we get above 780 and then ultimately 8 to drive more of that covering. We shall see.
All right, IBB coming back a little bit there, taking a look at the drugs stocks out there to see that what's going to move here. Looking at some stocks getting some lift today, just trying to be patient. Did take one trade today, but willing to take a swing trade. But really, I just want to kind of determine where we're going to be going in the next couple of days. Is it going to turn around later in the day? That's the only concern I have. But there's some stocks definitely having a strong time today. AMD is one of those, right? NVIDIA having good moves.
Let's see. Let me. Arden. No apologies needed. I don't really think we touched on Square today. Didn't really see any news or anything in particular about Square here today. We are trading higher, and I did notice that the volume is a bit higher today than it has been recently. But nice little move here on Square. This might just be trading with the market. Remember, the Qs also pushed up into a new high here. Alan, you're watching Apron, really? Apron, did it start putting in a move here? I guess, see, we took a look at this pre-market here, but Apron has really been disappointing. A lot of pops and drops here in this name. We did. See, it's the same thing. This is my issue with Apron, right? It looks like it's going to give us a trading opportunity. We trade up in the pre-market here. We trade up into the consolidation zone from the last time that we popped. And then we immediately get sold off again. And even when the market opened and it tried to bounce, we got sold yet again. So not saying that this isn't possible here, but we really need a move through 130 to get this thing going here. At least that's what it looks like to my eye.
All right, taking some degenerate action. Just willing to take a shot right here on AMC. We'll look to see if it can get popping here. Really just wanted to see it get through like 538s, 540s. Really, it's all going to be about if we can keep ripping on some of these meme style plays, right? Triple BY up there to $4 got me a little bit excited seeing that little pop there. Couldn't catch that one. GME already pushing through 21. So I went with the laggard there for AMC. But you guys can go after it in any which way you want. Looks like Triple BY leading right now up there to $4. We'll look to see if that can continue pushing. But definitely the dash for trash continuing. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and fair point here for both of you. Arden, you were saying Square's a Bitcoin play, right? Bitcoin has made a good move up over the weekend. Indeed, it has. And remember, it's not really moving with Bitcoin today. I guess maybe Bitcoin did kind of sell off a little bit at the open, and so too did Square. Jay saying the same thing here. SQ, NVIDIA, I believe they both move with Bitcoin. I'm just saying that I didn't see any news specific to Square today. It looks really, really strong here. Good volume out of the gate and at highs here. I can't really say the same thing about NVIDIA, can we? Unless this cold is moving to my brain, I don't think NVIDIA necessarily exactly the same here.
I wouldn't say I would say neither.
No, it is. I mean, NVIDIA both pushing up out of the highs here. I take that back. I'll give you that. Sorry about that.
I really don't correlate them at all. But hey, to each his own, right? Find the correlation.
That's what makes the market. There. Tesla's still strong here. Tesla's still pushing to the highs.
Makes some sense when you're miner focused, but
and that's what Jay's saying here. NVIDIA,
but that's such a small amount of their revenue. Such a small amount of their revenue. That doesn't make sense, at least in my eyes.
Wally. Good morning, Wally. Happy Tuesday. Happy new week here. Tesla really strong. Wally asking, can you check TSLL? This is the Tesla Bull Share ETF. So given Tesla's performance today, I would expect similar performance out of a 1.5 levered product. It's exactly what we're getting here today. The way I would trade this, if you're going to trade this one, obviously it's a lot more. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hate fighting off this cold. The way I would trade this is I would actually watch Tesla's stock. Tesla looks extended here, so I'd actually wait for this to consolidate or find some type of near-term support before loading up on this, but this might give you better gains here with this being levered. Oh my gosh.
SPY trying to get back there through the 400. Microsoft was a nice stock to buy that dip, man. Ooh, got to do more of those. Easy dip to buy this morning. They got a big rip back. Microsoft, look at that. Ooh. Didn't even go down. And the intraday, it opened up, went to 236.74. The opening, 236.74. Not one single cent to the red side on Microsoft from the open. That shows us a lot. That shows us that, what is that? It's called climbing the wall of worry there. Same thing, you'll see Apple right back up there, right? I think even Amazon's probably back to the VWAP. It's close. It's close there. SPY really pushing, trying to get that next level.
Voodoo saying that Dennis Dick called Tesla on pre-market prep with a 150 target. Okay, so Dennis and I kind of seeing the same thing. I think my target was a little bit less than that. But 150 puts us right about in here. So maybe this kind of area that we talked about being a little bit gappy on the way up to this consolidation range, maybe 150, maybe like your midway point, if you will. Another 20 points here. That actually wouldn't be bad. So if we get that strength, that's 20 points away. That's definitely possible. Tesla is certainly looking strong today, clearing out this bottoming formation. I would say this is definitely a good thing to say. And look at the volume sticks, really changing from sell volume to buying volume. Another good thing to see here. I'd be worried if this actually reversed and took out 115 to the downside, but we got some time on that. Good context here, Voodoo. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there on Tesla. It kind of got slow, kind of got dull. Come on, let's do something. Maybe it's just me, but it got dull for me.
Yakov, hi guys, nice to watch you. Tesla goes up, but she got two gaps, which I believe need to be aware. Go ahead and let me know what gaps you're referring to. I'm looking at the daily chart here, so perhaps you have a different time frame that you're looking at. Maybe you're talking about this gap beneath, right? Maybe you're talking about back testing this gap. Anyway, let us know where those gaps are. We'll take a look at them on the chart.
Rejection of the 400 there. Be careful there, team. It looks like it wants to battle. Every time we get to these important levels, we're getting that kind of slow up action. See what happens on the day. We finally start seeing some reversal or not, but it's been a strong day overall.
So chat, help me out here, chat. I've been hammering cough drops to try and reduce the symptoms of the sore throat that I've had. But I have this really annoying problem where when I blow my nose or when I swallow, my entire congested head like freezes up. Like I get like popping in my ears and stuff like that. Let me know if you guys have any home remedies for that. You're really surprising me with the onion water earlier. So hopefully you have something a little bit more palatable to try and clear some of that sinus congestion. Let me know.
Look to see if Tesla takes another leg. EMPH has been strong on the day. That could keep going, move there. MOS has been strong, now pulling back there. If you like agricultural inputs, you can take a look at that. See what happens on that. ALB, not much there. BTU, what's up with the coal stocks? Not doing too much there. How's our oil stocks today? Starting to make its way back. Oil doesn't look too bad. Now it's starting to make its way. After it's pulled back, we'll see what happens today. Definitely a big pullback on some of these. Chevron staying the strongest. Look to see if that can keep moving.
Great shout here by Wiss. Nice to see you. Happy Tuesday, Wiss. Calling out ATXI. ATXI is having a really good day. We had no indication from the pre-market, but Wiss, watching those volume sticks. Really watching those volume sticks. Great trade here through 150. Pushed up on volume, then broke that 150, spiked as high as 170 on the biggest volume stick of the day. Back tested that level and now taking the next leg up here. So ATXI, great stuff if you played this. Great shout, Wisson, on this. Hopefully you were able to catch this earlier. And by the way, thank you, folks, for the suggestions. Yes, Mucinex. I have been on a steady diet of Mucinex. It actually has really, really helped. E2 Computer saying steam. I can try that. I can try that again. W saying less dairy. I actually have been doing this. I have had very, very little dairy the past couple of days. I'll keep that up. Great suggestions here from the group. I tell you, we have the best group in the world, Mitch. It never fails. Never fails.
Here for all different types, right? Well, we'll see what happens on the day. Will we get back up there? It looks like the SPY is starting to turn around a little bit here. Like always, it's been really strong. So I'm not trying to just jump into the tape, but we'll see what happens on the day overall. It's been a good day for the Bulls. Still in control. Still haven't let up on the recent ramp. All right. We'll see if I get stopped out in AMC's pullback here. We'll get stopped out at the 517 area. We'll see what happens there. If it does stop me out, so be it. Triple BY is staying strong, though. That looks like it wants to take another leg. We'll look to see if that does take another leg. It is strong right now. Triple BY, we'll see if it takes that next step up there. GME, of course, we'll see what happens on that one. Can that take the next step up? Still playing that AMC, but GME actually looked better on the daily overall. Party, what's up with the party? Is that going to get moving? Well, taking a look at some other ones. BBIG, that one looks strong there. There's your triple BY, KSPN trying to make a little lift. ISPO, that one doesn't look too bad. That one looks like it wants to come back there to 2. Not a bad looking chart overall. ISPO, not a stock that I trade often, but definitely not having a bad day overall. Nice little setup there. Carvana, we'll look to see if that can keep going through 8. That's the level to watch there. Pullbacks to 780s makes sense there. Already pulled back to 778. We'll look to see if it makes the next step up through 8. There's Carvana, 794. Look through if it gets through 8.
All right. Yakub saying here today's gap from 122 to 125. All right, that's the one that we were looking at already. So this gap here, thanks, Mitch. This gap here, you're thinking might get tested. Would you like to see this gap filled or tested? And then on January 9, that's this one right here. You had a gap from, let's see, 113 to 115. So you're thinking these two gaps are still going to be in play. Thinking if we get upside momentum, we might have cleared both of those. But appreciate you coming back to this. That'll give us something. If Tesla reverses, those are probably going to be the levels of importance there. I really appreciate the continued suggestions here. Just crushing some tea. There was someone in here I wanted to highlight this. Carly saying, do you drink plenty of water? Yes. Water, tea, and coffee comprise 99% of the fluids that I take in on a regular basis. One more thing I just wanted to shout out. Mitch, how do I do full screen? Here we go.
There you go.
It's
Vapor Cool.
Severe. These cough drops are the Brizzy Rizzy. They are unbelievable. I put one of these in my mouth and I feel like there's a cold blast.
Even better than the classic Ricola.
Yes, look, I love Ricola mints. I like yelling Ricola too, like I'm yodeling into the mountains, just like you did. And they taste great. But these are the heavy duty, if you will. Those are the heavy
duty team. Don't miss it, team. We'll see what happens there. And overall, it's been a good day. SPY trying to make that next step up. We'll see if we get it. It's just battling up here. Couple of wicks to the 400. Do we take that 400 run? Who knows?
Small break on coffee, Gary. I want to be. I don't want to be angry and wanting to murder people, so I'm gonna not take a break from coffee. I will reduce it though and replace some of it with tea.
Yeah, it's always tough for me when I'm sick not to drink coffee.
No, I have no chance. I mean, I have no chance of not drinking coffee. By the way, so on Apron, I know we talked a little bit about Apron. Really, return to the lows. This is what I was really talking about earlier. Every time Apron sets up and looks like it's going to give us a trade, you just get a sad trombone. Wah, wah. It just doesn't end up materializing. That's kind of what we're seeing again here today. If I flip back to the daily chart, however, you'll notice that we do have some gaps here. We just spent some time talking about gaps. I'd love to see this break above 129. We actually have a gap up to 145, and this consolidation area looks kind of weak to me, almost kind of gappy up to 205, and then the next upside target there about 260. So I'd love for Apron to really give us some upside movement. But every time that it seems like it's going to do that recently, it just kind of cracks and doesn't give us the expected move here. So wasn't fooled by Apron here today. donated plenty of money to the Apron cause, trying to trade this when it sets up.
All right, looking around to see what's making moves, what's going to continue moving. Right now, it's SPY trying to make another run into the 400s. Triple BY now up to 430, so probably went after the wrong one there, but hey, that happens sometimes. It's already getting the lift there. We'll look to see if it can continue. GME's pushed through the 2110s. That's getting some lift there. Still in the AMC. We'll see if that ever gets going or not. But see, it's not a bad day overall. Grow Generation's making a little lift there. I saw SMG also been moving lately. Some people have been looking at that one, getting some lift. We'll see if that can keep moving.
Bed Bath and Beyond, Mitch. So real quick on Bed Bath and Beyond, 450 seems to be the big spot. If we take a look at the daily chart here, you can see 450 is really the resistance level, or the first resistance level in this channel. 550 being the top of that. Now on the recent push, we went all the way, we cleared that, right? So it looks like here, if we zoom in here to today, looks like we're trying to get to that 450. The question is going to be, if we end up taking out this 450, do we then trade to the top of that range? Do we find some resistance here? So for me on BBBY, again, this is another one, risky. We talked about this being potential short covering. Are we able to get up through 450 and make that next dollar move up? We shall see.
All right, looking around. CarMax having a really good day there. That one got a lift there to 71, now pulling back towards the VWAP. We'll look to see if it holds VWAP there.
Tracy, great question here. Ryan, what intraday time frame do you prefer for trade execution? So Tracy, this is a really great question because it really depends on what we're trying to do. If I'm trying to time an entry for something that I look to hold longer than a day, maybe like a swing trade, I'll often use some of the same time frames that Mitch talks about: 15-minute chart, hourly chart, find out where those support and resistance levels are. However, if I'm looking for a day trade, I often don't venture very far from the 1 or the 5-minute chart in terms of intraday. No matter what trading I'm doing, I'm always going back to the daily to see if there are any key levels that we can identify, much like we just did here. Great question. I would say for day trades, primarily the 1 and the 5-minute chart. Shout out to the 15-minute. For swing trade entries, I'll use several different charts, namely 15, hourly, and also the daily. Great question.
All right, starting to slow down. It's about 10:24.
Sure.
Team, we're going to keep battling here. I'm going to try to see what happens in this AMC trade and then probably just call it a day after that. It's going to be one of those weeks, right? We got to keep watching on what happens with the earnings this week. That's going to be on the radar, so don't miss that, team. You guys can keep up with our earnings calendar. Of course, get it off of our Twitter at Benzinga. If you guys are not following, I don't know what you're missing right there. Definitely go ahead and get your earnings calendar so that you guys can keep up with all the action.
I also tweeted this too. You're talking about the earnings calendar, the graphical earnings calendar.
Yes.
I try to tweet this whenever I can. Let me see if I can get that for you here.
Do it. Check it out, team.
Stay ready.
Always. Got to be ready for what's coming next.
Absolutely.
All right, catching up with some messages. Woo! I'm not gonna lie, the yawns today, I'm not gonna be able to hold it back. It was I had a long night. My cat kept waking me up.
I couldn't even watch the game last night, Mitch. I was like, you know what? I need to be better. I need to go to sleep early. As soon as I had at the pillow, I felt like I was out. Cat didn't even wake me up for food this morning. He's been really, really good. Here are your earnings for this week.
Boom, boom.
So we got some more of the banks today. You know, interestingly, I really want to see what United does tonight, and then see if obviously we've got some more banks here tomorrow. But yeah, United for this week, the big ones for me, aside from the banks: United, Procter and Gamble, and Netflix. Those are the three that I'm really looking for. I just want to see what kind of reaction we have for some of these names. I'm interested to see what comes out of the call for Procter and Gamble too, and see if there's any comments about the economy. and how they think it's
Costco having
doing.
a good day today. That's not looking too bad. We talked about that one earlier on. Will it get to 500 or back above the 490s? Doesn't look bad. Oak had a nice day. Nice little move back to the upside. Pepsi doing the same.
Looking at SCYAD here. So we bounced off that, 111. We went back as high as 250. We're really kind of holding here between 2 and 250. This still seems really risky for me, but a break above, 240. A break above 240 here, maybe we have some momentum to the upside. Crow, good to see you here this morning. What did you trade here this morning? You're calling out BBBY, new high of day here on BBBY. Oh my goodness, look at this. We're going for that 450. We just talked about this a few minutes ago. We are going for the 450. It'd be interesting to see if we get rejected here, or do we cross over into that area and try to clear out that consolidation zone?
We'll see what happens, right?
I do love tea, though, folks. I do really, really love tea.
Can't go wrong.
Oh, CYAD was your opening trade. Wow, good for you, man. You were able to hit that. That thing had all types of red flags on it for me, anyway. Great trading on that, though, Crow. You are an invaluable asset to this room. I was watching Davos.
This one's been strong the last couple of days. It's KMPH.
Pull it up. Let's take a look at it.
Just a little bit smaller name, but
By the
definitely
way,
daily chart.
Mitch,
Pretty
my
strong,
relative volume scanner at this point has almost completely dried up.
It just fell asleep. Went to sleep, man.
Fell asleep.
On the Bed Bath and Beyond life. First Solar, man. What a move.
In this tea that I have.
What a move by First Solar.
So good.
Disney back into the green, even though we saw it down big earlier in the day, right? Will Netflix make its way back? It's trying to bounce back here. Foot Locker got hit today. Nike staying into the green. Doesn't look too bad there.
Urban Farms asking if Apple will hit 140. I guess we could ask the 8-ball if you wanted. We could bust the 8-ball back out here and see if we can do that. Looking at the actual chart here, Apple has been really, really strong. That 125 area, 120 to 125, really seemed to be a pretty strong support area. I guess it was more 125 than anything else. Realistically, 140 here. Let me pull this up on the screen so we can have a visual aid. This 140 here, this was absolutely a really stiff support, and actually on the way up we actually took 3 attempts to move through 140. So 140 is a key level here, Urban Farms. I would not be surprised if we traded back up to that. Really the question is going to be, do we clear that out and start making a move back up towards a 150 handle? Don't know yet. Want to see what some of the price action is when we get up there. But yeah, it does kind of feel like 140 is at least going to be tested at some point this week. ENPH. I think this was one Mitch was looking at earlier. Let's take a look at ENPH. Yeah, EMPH. So we've marked these lines. We added these, I feel like, last year. I think that we added these around November of last year. This range here, 234 to 320, almost 100-point range, 80-point range. We have really just kind of been in that since July of last year. It looks like we're bouncing off the bottom end of this range right now. Realistically, I'd actually like to see this trade up another $15 or so. Then maybe we can make a move towards 300 here on EMPH. Mitch, was this one that you were looking at, or did you have a trade plan or a thesis here on EMPH? I feel like this was something you were talking about recently.
I'll get into that in a second here. I'm just trying to take maybe a swing on the Qs here to the short side. So,
yeah, so it looked like Earlier, remember, I said we might be wicking to the top end and expecting a reversal. We ended up punching through that, taking the next leg up. Same type of chart formation here on SPY and on Qs, frankly, looking like it wants to roll over. Oh, I need to blow my nose. 1 second.
No worries, you're good, man. I was trying to get a fill there. Didn't get my fill there. Trying to get short on the Qs there through the 282 spot. It's a little frustrating. It went right through my entry. So I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback fill here. We'll look to see if we get it, but it's not looking good right now. I was also thinking about just day trading the SQQQs, but the problem with that is that I can't be watching this too much longer in the day. Got some other things that I got to get to. So I liked it around the 45.30 off the 45. It's already up about 20 cents there. Wanted the SPY there at the not the SPY, the Qs there at the 282 spot, but it blew right through my level. So no fill yet. It's already about 30-40 cents from that. Let's see if we get a little bit of a pullback. It's going to be annoying. I was just a little lagged on the order, and that literally second of a time didn't get my order filled there. So I'm looking to see if we get a pop back fill, but it might just start flushing down. See what happens. Tesla overall has been strong on the day. EMPH is just solar names trying to catch up to FSLR, right? That's the leader right now. EMPH playing a little bit of catch up. Once EMPH starts making that good move back to the upside, I'd also look for SEDG to kind of make that move up also. You can see how it's starting to make its way back there towards it. EMPH is actually a little bit even lagging behind that, right? It's only had about 4 days into the green. When you took a look at FSLR, you see how many days into the green here, right? You see 11 6 bars in the green there. 7th day in the green. All right, I'll see if I can get that short on the Qs, but doesn't look good right now.
Crow saying blue sky breakout there for Caterpillar. Indeed, we did get that. I actually flipped over to Deer here. Interesting thing about Deer had a let's come on, what's going on here? We had this floating island that actually Deer broke down from. It actually was invalidated. Kind of closed this gap. Speaking of gaps, seems to be a theme for today. Kind of closed this gap to the downside only to bounce and now make a move towards 450. Honestly, if this momentum keeps up, I expect Deer to actually break 450 to the upside and go a little bit higher here. And like Crow was saying on Cat, we actually got a blue sky breakout here on Cat, right? So we broke out of this formation here. Looks like we're going towards just continually setting all-time highs. Looks like we're going for that blue sky.
All right, we'll see what happens. I did get the Qs on that pop up back there towards it. Went to 2081.93. Literally, I have that 281.93s there. So not going to be mad about that. Had the order out there, got the pop fill right back in the name and right back where we were, right? So we'll look to see if that starts breaking. What will be my out here will be 283. So I'm going to give it a full point on these shares. This is going to be more of a swing back down to the downside. And the reason it's a swing is it gives me a little bit more room on the risk and I can let the trade try to work. We'll see what happens there. QQQs on the short side. Under Armour doing well on the day. We want the SPY also top out, right? Not really just rip back through that 400. That would not be a good level to see. Triple BY still continuing, still could get through that 450. We'll see what happens. It did make a move towards 448, then turned quickly around. Still in this AMC trade. I'll let you guys know if I do get out. I'm just kind of just watching it. We'll see if it actually makes a move or not. It's not doing anything right now. Other than that, NVIDIA, right? One of the strong ones on the day, starting to pull back a little bit. Morgan Stanley starting to pull back a little bit, but look at that move on Morgan Stanley today. What a nice breakout there on MS.
And Goldman Sachs, just the complete opposite of that
Complete
breakout,
opposite.
Mitch.
Yeah.
I mean, Morgan Stanley, you're absolutely right. This is really, really strong. It didn't even really care much about the market selling off. It continued to remain strong, whereas Goldman Sachs, just the absolute opposite, just a waterfall, continually setting new lows here on Goldman Sachs. I think they telling you that the investment banking business, not great right now. Goldman Sachs is normally a great trade too. I mean, I guess if you're trading puts on this, more power to you. You're having a good day. But man, Goldman Sachs to the upside been some of my better trades over the years. Crow, absolutely love this. Shouting out other members of our community, and you're exactly right. Becca deserves all of the credit there on TNXP. This was 95 cents when she first started talking about it. I omitted it from my list because it was under $1. We did mention it briefly, but didn't really focus on it because of it being under $1. But you know what? That didn't matter. This stock absolutely played out quite well. We remember we traded back up to that dollar range. We dipped down to 80, and then next time we reclaimed that dollar, it was just no looking back. We went as high as 158 on that 157. It looks like. So great stuff there, Becca. Crow, really appreciate you shouting out our community members when they make calls like this. Is exactly why we are trying to do what we're trying to do here. So really awesome stuff there. 50% run over a couple of days. Good stuff.
I like this pullback on Valero, but I'm not going to take another one right now. I'm trying to keep it simple right now and not go too extreme on trades. But Valero looking interesting just because I was looking through the oil stock, started seeing a little bit of a lift here. You guys can see it in XOM, but really the stock that had stayed strong in the morning was Chevron, right? Want to see that one take lead, get up there to 181. Gush starting to get a little bit of an uplift there. We'll look to see if that can make a nice little push. Oxy overall was starting to get back there too, so we'll look to see if these can catch the dip. Qs overall not looking too bad as we're down there towards 281.70s. We're going to keep watching that to see if it starts to kind of show some cracking on the market. Tesla trying to hold 129 on the pullbacks right now. If this doesn't hold, I think you go back at least to 128. We'll see what happens there. BBIG still trying to make that move. I think that could maybe eventually get towards $1, but I wouldn't expect too much more after that. EPCM showing up there. Brian showing up again. Nice little move up there, back through the $4, 405 spot. Now back towards 429. Could keep coming, of course. Bit mining limited. Pre-market high there towards 432s. You're right now on it. Looks like it's getting a nice little lift here.
Yeah, one more thing to keep in mind here. I was just kind of poking through this. I was looking at VTNR here. All right, this is Vertex Energy. And let me show you what I was looking at first and what caused me to poke around in here. I'd be interested to know if any of you have any information or any angle on VTNR. We've had a really, really nice move here. Really, this came off. This was below 6 just last week. And now here we are, just through 750s. Looks like we want to get higher here. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this makes a move towards 10. Reviewing some of the news here, we actually did have a catalyst here. They provided an operational update for 2022 when they talked a lot about their renewable diesel conversion project remains on schedule, on budget, and on track for mechanical completion by late March. So this seems pretty good. I would imagine we're going to get some more PRs about this potential project. And given the environment that we're in, I think that would set up nicely for potential trades here. Now, I'm not long this right now. I'm not holding this till March. This isn't a swing trade for me. It's just something to kind of keep your eyes on because I suspect we're going to get some more headlines about this over the next several weeks. Just something to keep under your hat. VTNR. Having a nice little day here today.
SPY with a hard down move there. Qs back down to the VWAP. So looking good there for the swing trade. We'll keep working on that. That's 281.93. We're at 281s on the low side. So we'll look for this to really break. Really what we're going to look for is for us to start making our way back down towards around 276, 274. Really, it's going to be more of a longer term swing. We'd look to take some profits, but since it's a small type of trade, we're going to let it work in our favor, let the trade work. We'll see what happens on the day. AMC added to that on the little pop right now, looking for the extension through. We'll look to see if we get that pop. Big thing for us is look to see like these stocks continue, right? Triple BY, Carvana, continuing to lift. That's what we want to see. Affirm was strong, right? Will that get another little push there? GME, will that get a nice little push? We'll see what happens here. Q's dropping fast there. That doesn't look too bad. Remember, I talked about the SQQQ trade off the 45.30s, which would have been a 30-cent risk. You're already up there to 46. That's about a 70-cent reward. And so you're thinking about it there. That's a little bit close to 3-1. I like that outlook. SQQQ is getting a little bit lift there. SOXS also pushing right back there, right? We'll see what happens on a name like NVIDIA that was really strong. Can it come back and hold the VWAP, or will it just come back and break that, then start giving up some of the daily gains? Tesla overall broke that 129 right back. Looks like it's getting towards the 128. That's going to be the next level I'd look for it to hold around the VWAP 127.90. We'll look to see if a VWAP bounces or does it start to break. Made a lot on the Mara last week. Not bad. I mean, like always, right? We got to try to figure out and jump on these little twists and turns. And of course, if you're able to make a little bit of profit, you can't go wrong with that. All right, we'll see what happens. There's you're getting your pullback. Tesla's back down to 128. SPY now down to 397.99. Hard turnaround from that 400 break. Did not continue that move there. Not looking too bad there in the Qs. We'll look to see if that can continue working there. AMC might stop me out. We'll see what happens on that one. Really not going to let it crack through. The 519s, 518s would get me out there. We'll see if that one just stops me out. It hasn't really moved at all. There you go, guys. Out of that one, I had a feeling that if it cracked the 520s there, would get me out, stop me out of that. Not going to worry about it. Take the little hit there. Get into my swing trade on the Qs. The Qs itself can make me the trade on the two trades on the day. So we'll let that work for the rest of the day. Going to go ahead and probably call it a wrap there. 398.26. Not looking too bad there. 1044. Probably wrap up a little bit early today, as I don't think I'll be getting into much trades now. We'll look to see if Morgan Stanley reverses from that high, right? Goldman Sachs came down really low today to 351. Hard hit there. We'll see on those names. Apple now turning back to the VWAP. Tesla around the VWAP. You want to see if that VWAP bounces, gets back up there to the 130s.
And speaking of reversal, look at Apple, right? We really reversed from the high here on Apple. Moving back down towards the break even here on Apple. Still a ways away from session lows here, but pretty huge reversal. Remember that SQQQ trade that you were lining up earlier, Mitch. I think that's the trade of the day in terms of high quality setup. We just didn't get it right in the morning.
Yeah, and it happens. Sometimes maybe just not giving myself enough room, right, on a name like that. But it's always about like what levels do you want to hold to. I didn't want to hold through a flush down through the 45.80s and could always get back into the name, right? We're looking for recovery of opening prices. That's also a big importance to find. As you see the SQQQ starting to recover, look for that opening price, right? The opening price today, 46.09. Look how you stop right now at 46.09. There's a reason why, right? So the opening price is very important. A lot of people have algorithms that run out of that open. We'll see if it can keep pushing through that 46 and keep the trend going. Qs, you just want to see it just continue to leak. SPY, the same thing. Leak. That's what you're going to be looking for if you're looking for the turnaround type of action. All right, catching up with the chat. TSM, a decent run this morning. I'll cover that one, and then we'll call it a wrap. We got up there to 89.75. This one has been strong as of late. Had their earnings, got the little earnings gap. Now continuing, trying to get back there through 90s. We'll see what happens there in Taiwan Semiconductor. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Any last comments, Ryan, before we wrap up?
No, not really. Protect your capital as always, be safe, and join our amazing community here for both not just stock trading processes and tips, but also home remedies and health tips. So have a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
All right, Ryan, you have a good one, my friend. Get better, get healed up. I know everybody will be rooting for you to get better, my friend. And definitely the chat, book club team. We're starting it this Sunday. We're going to start getting into trading in the zone. Of course, you can't go wrong with that book. You guys fill out the form. Don't miss it. This Sunday, we're going to have a meetup, probably just go through the opening introduction, give you guys a week to really buy the book, but you don't want to miss it. You want to be a part of the book club. Just throw up the form again. If you want to continue growing your skills, you're a new trader out there, learn about it. Of course, trading in the zone. You can't go wrong with trading in the zone, of course, by Mark Douglas. But if you guys want to stick around, like always, join the book club. I will be putting out an email in a day or two to give you guys links where you guys can find it on the low. Like always, I want to help you guys get these books. And if you need to, by any means, just go to your library, your local library. Go rent the book out, right? Go check it out. Well, you guys can find a lot of these books at the library. I hope you guys join us for the book club. Going to be starting up this Sunday for a meetup and then really getting down to the nitty gritty next week. Excited to keep building our skills. Like always, hit the thumbs up if you guys appreciate some of the extra things that we do here at Benzinga. We'll see you guys a little bit later. Up next, after this show, of course, you guys get Benzinga Live. Let me see if that's set up here. He's running a little bit on both schedules, so I don't know if, yeah, looks like we do have Benzinga Live coming up next. So I just got to make sure every day. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But Benzinga Live coming up next at 11:30. That's the next show. We'll see you guys there. Like always, team, keep working on your skills. We'll look to see if the SPY continues to leak. We did get that cut through the 400, but now we're starting to pull back. Will we leak for the rest of the day? You guys find out. And don't miss me a little bit later today. Michael Lee Strategy, of course, on Stock Market Movers, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you there.